biggest misconceptions in bodybuilding? That burnout happens all at once. In reality, burnout is usually the result of many small warning signs that have accumulated over weeks or months. Hi everyone, I'm Marietta. Welcome back to Bodybuilding Chart Notes. Today's chart note is part 3 of my burnout series, focusing on the more progressed symptoms that can develop when recovery has been falling behind stress for a prolonged period of time. Subjective. In the first 2 videos, I talked about sleep disruption, nervous system fatigue, and even just like some of those early signs that recovery might not be keeping up with the demands of prep. But eventually, if those signals continue to be ignored, the body often will start to communicate in much louder ways. Objective. The symptoms that I worry about the most at this stage are profound fatigue and weakness, and not the kind where you're simply tired after a hard workout. I mean the kind where everyday tasks start to feel disproportionately difficult, where getting through a workout feels exhausting before you've even started. And another symptom I pay very close attention to is post-exertional malaise. So essentially, this is when activity doesn't leave you feeling like appropriately challenged or recovered. Instead, it leaves you feeling worse, like you feel sick, depleted, or even just like you need excessive amounts of rest simply to recover from a normal level of activity. Other symptoms that I pay attention to are going to be like severe lack of motivation, apathy, or low mood, unexplained changes in body weight, loss of libido, menstrual irregularities or loss of cycle, difficulty in concentrating or like brain fog, and just finding yourself unable to cope with stressors that would normally feel manageable. At this stage, it's often no longer just a training issue. It is a sign that multiple systems throughout the body are really struggling to keep up with the demands that are being placed onto the body. Assessment. One of the biggest mistakes that athletes make is assuming they simply need to push harder. But when symptoms reach this point, more discipline is rarely the solution. Often the body is asking for more recovery, more support, and occasionally a reassessment of whether prep in the current timeline is realistic. This is also where communication becomes incredibly important. Your coach needs to know what's going on. And depending on the severity of symptoms, it may also be appropriate to involve a healthcare practitioner. Because while, yes, coaches can make informed decisions about training and nutrition and prep strategies, there are limitations of what they can assess or manage, especially from that medical standpoint. Plan. So yes, moving forward, I'll continue to monitor recovery markers very closely throughout my preps, communicate symptoms early rather than waiting until they become severe, prioritizing sleep and recovery alongside my physique goals, and making adjustments when necessary before burnout progresses further. Because prevention is almost always easier than to recover from a full-blown burnout. Closing reflection. The goal of prep isn't to discover how much suffering you can tolerate. The goal is to get stage lean while preserving as much health, performance, and resilience along the way. That's today's chart note. I'll see you in the next one. Closing reflection. The goal